Welcome one more day to space in Harmonia. It's a lovely morning, 9:30. It's not too hot, but it will become very hot in 1 hour or two. So let's enjoy for the moment the sounds of nature, even though I can hear the wild civilization. The vibrations travel through the air. Vibrations all over are a language. They tell us about chaos. They tell us about harmonia. They tell us about everything. And we can learn from all vibrations. Precisely, I want to speak about this today because it's connected to the tree of life. As you know, this channel is based on knowing ourselves, going through the growth of the tree of life, especially as it was unveiled by Master Yeshua. But today I'm going to speak about the connection between discoveries of quantum science, Kabbalistic teachings from the 16th century and farther back in time, and also the connection of all that with the teaching of Yeshua. And how can we go beyond deception? And we are going to be exploring how to interpret the way the world came to be with all its chaos. I'm going to be translating an article into English. I will leave it in the blog, themusicofwisdom.blogspot.com, the Song of Reality. You have the link in the box of information. It's already in Spanish, if you can read Spanish. And I will leave many details in that article. But just to give you a brief summary. First of all, we have to understand that everything is vibration, but we perceive vibration depending on our modes of perception. Even quantum science says that all we see depends on the one who is measuring, in this case the human brain. And this is known as the collapse of the wave function. So everything we see depends on our perception. Something which is not new. This was known since ancient times. But we have to understand how everything came to be in a state of harmonia and chaos at the same time, because it's a strange combination. Because chaos cannot come from life. So where did it come from? And if we go back to the teachings of Isaac Luria, we will see amazing connections with quantum physics. But before going into this subject, we have to understand that there is vibration and frequency of vibration. The higher the frequency of vibration, the more intense is the light, and the lower the frequency of vibration, the less amount of light we have. And apart from this, there is also a difference between vibration and energy. There can be vibration without energy, but not energy without vibration. Vibrations can be so high, the frequency of vibration can be so high that no energy or matter appear. Because energy and matter are already a result of a decrease in vibration. And this is very interesting because in ancient times there were ideas such as infinite light, divine light. And we cannot say that is energy. It comes before energy and matter. Actually, in Hebrew wisdom there is a notion which is Ein Sof, without limits, and or Ein Sof, the light which comes from that which has no limits. And this is why we can call Or Ein Sof as the endless light. It has no boundaries. Therefore, we cannot say it's energy, we cannot say it's matter, we cannot say it's substance. And this is the reason why Rabbi Isaac Luria in the 16th century said that in order for infinite light to dwell in finite forms, there must be an opening of a space. There must be a space with a lesser amount of light. And in modern terms, we would say there must be a decrease in the frequency of vibration. And this is exactly what the Holy One did in order to allow infinite light to fill a space with a decrease of light. This space is known in Hebrew as halal, and as Isaac Luria explained, based on the Zohar, the soul of the Torah, the infinite light opened this space and projected itself into the space by means of a ray of light known as kaf. And this kaf, or ray of light, went in and out, leaving a residue amidst that space of lesser light. That residue is known as reshimo in Hebrew. And this entrance of the light, infinite light, also generated 10 lesser lights, which somehow have a pattern that in Lurianic Kabbalah is known as Adam Kadmon, the primordial man. But this is paradoxical because when Master Yeshu, or Yeshua, came, he taught about the tree of life, and we learned that the tree of life has 12 fruits, 12 aspects, just as the 12 edges in a cube, which are contained in the 13, the space. Even a musical octave has 13 semitones, as you can see. So, we can interpret that the tree of life, obviously, was the first origination within the space of light, because life was the first emanation of the Holy One. And when I say first, it's in a logical and ontological sense, not in a chronological sense, because in the infinite light, there is no time. In the space of the Holy One, the dwelling, the Shekinah, there is no time before the coming of the worlds of chaos. This is why it was said, in the beginning was the Logos, the divine intelligence, the divine birth. In him was life, and life was the light of men. As you can understand now, the Yud He Vav He is Adam Kadmon, the primordial man, which is the body, vehicle of the Infinite One, the one which has no denomination, name, is beyond anything we can conceive, but manifests through a birth, a divine manifestation of life. So we have to understand why the world of chaos came to be, why there was a transition from the tree of life of 12 aspects to a Sephirotic tree with 10 aspects that became broken, as Isaac Luria tells. Because I don't think Isaac Luria is wrong. I think he is referring to an stage that takes place within the tree of life. Because the tree of life has emanations, and in those emanations there are beings, intelligences, that can get disconnected. Those emanations are coming from the Holy One. As it is said, from the mouth of Yud He Vav He, the heavens, Shemaim, were generated, made, and his host from his breath. So those are vibrations, and the hosts obviously are beings. And we know that some beings from the primordial source got disconnected because they did not understand the essence of loving life. Therefore, it makes sense how they generated an incomplete reality, which is actually the incomplete Sephirotic tree. And in the vision of Isaac Luria, this is very well explained. He says that there is the world of chaos, Olam Atou, which is connected to the chaos mentioned in Bereshit, the book of Genesis, which starts saying in the head. Bereshit can be read as Beit Rosh, not just in the beginning, because the Hebrew language is very deep. Everything took place within the head of primordial man. So it was like thoughts in his mind, and there were vibrations. And in that process of formation, there were beings which did not understand. Now Isaac Luria said that when the ray of light came into the space and generated the 10 lights of Adam Kadmon, those 10 lights were in a state of tension. It was as if they were stuck on top of each other. And it came a point in which those vibrations became wrapped up by lower vibrations or vessels. And this was the first stage within the world of chaos. This stage is known as Olam HaAkudim, the world of attachments. When the lights are attached, they are within one vessel, which is the space of Adam Kadmon. They are in tension, but they are not fully broken yet. Anyway, this tension generated an imbalance between the masculine and the feminine. Now, in modern terms, we can understand this as higher vibrations and lower vibrations. We can understand this in acoustic terms. As I have already demonstrated, every single note is comprised of pure tones known as harmonics, and this can be emphasized. If you notice, there were finer whistling sounds which were contained within one note, and this is a relation of feminine and masculine energies. The masculine energies are finer, and the feminine energies are the containers. So what happened in the world of chaos is that from a state of tension, there came a state of fragmentation. And this is known in Lurianic Kabbalah as the world of points, Olam HaNekudim. And this is because the lights were constricted by vessels, bodies, which obviously belong to different beings in different dimensions. And what happened is that the vessels constricted the light. They did not understand that light must flow, and they did not share that light with the other spheres. So eventually, there was a shattering of the vessels. This is known as Shevirat HaKelim. That was the name given by Isaac Luria. And it was a primordial catastrophe which ended up in lower worlds, the first of which is known as Beria, the world of edification. And from Beria there came another world known as Yetzirah, formation, and from the world of formation there came the physical world in which we live. Now, before exploring this a bit further, the other day I noticed something very interesting. As I was pondering on the structure of the Kadmon, I realized that the old representations, which are concentric circles, resemble very much the pattern of diffraction of a wave. As you know, when a wave finds an obstacle, there is a series of waves within the wave. We can find that pattern when we throw a stone into a pond, and this wave can meet other waves, generating an interference pattern which somehow breaks the waves. And this is exactly what took place in the primordial worlds. Because vibrations clash, there was an imbalance between feminine and masculine, and this was the origin of energies which generated time. And once time became more dominant, there came denser and denser degrees of materiality. As I said, the lower the vibration, the lower the frequency, the greater the density of matter. And vice versa. The higher the frequency of vibration, the higher is the energy, and even the absence of energy, because there is a point in which the vibrations can be so high there is neither matter nor energy. This means that as beings of primordial infinite light, we are beyond energy and matter, and therefore we can express an infinite loving life, which gets constricted when it falls into lower worlds that also were emerging within the head of the Absolute. And this is a mystery known as the emanations of the left side. The dark world is also known as the other side, Sidrei Agra, the tree of knowledge of good and bad, or good and evil, because there is also evil. There are fallen entities, evil spirits, and all sorts of fallen intelligences, which took control of those dark worlds, which are the other side of the tree of life. And this physical world in which we live has not been created by any benevolent entity, as you can deduce, because it's full of suffering, full of disconnection. This world is the result of that fall of life. Behind this world, there is a dark world ruled by fallen princes, the demiurge, the public worker, as it is known in Greek. Demiurge means public artisan, public worker, because those entities manifest outside as well. The public workers are part of what Apostle Paul called the God of this age, Theos to Aionos, which are really the collective intelligences that generate space-time. And we are part, as human beings, of that material entity. Animals, plants, insects are a materialization of those subtle intelligences that belong to the fallen primordial worlds. And this physical world is already telling a story. We can learn everything by listening, by observing. But don't forget that as members of the Tree of Life, we are pure light. I am the light of the cosmos and you are the light of the cosmos, the Master said. So our problem is that we get deceived, especially by what we see. Actually, in the teaching of Isaac Luria, the world of points, the world of fragmentation, came from the emanations that emerged from the eyes of Kadmon. Because Kadmon has emanations from the mouth, the word, from the eyes, listening, from the nose, and that vision somehow became fragmented. And this is very interesting because probably the vision of Kadmon had to do with the fallen wisdom, Sophia, which was with Yud He He in the beginning and became disconnected, as it is told in Proverbs 9. Wisdom, Sophia, built up her own house, raised her 7 pillars, time, killed her victims, mixed her wine. So, the vision is what can get distorted. But I don't think it was the vision of the primordial mind, because that is harmonized. And Yeshua was an expression of that mind. So he was somehow showing the way back to that point in which there is no fragmentation. And we can experience this by establishing harmonia in ourselves at will. We have been given a portion of the calf, the ray of will, and also conscience. Those are actually the 2 missing aspects in the 10 Sephirotic tree. We can say there are 10 receptive Sephirot, spheres, and 2 which are active, will and conscience, from the 13 which is union, unity, the I, will, conscience. So, in order to establish harmonia, we have to feel unity within ourselves, not division. Then we can project our will. We can say, I wish, I want, I can. I want is stronger than I wish. Wish is more selfish. Want is stronger. It comes from our deeper being. And we must want something that we know. We know by means of consciousness and conscience. So those are the keys of harmonization within ourselves. Actually, after more than 20 years of inner research and work, getting into contact with these qualities within myself has been the most transformative experience. Every morning, before I get up, I feel the I amness I have been given by the Holy One, the will He gave me, and also His conscience, because there is only one divine conscience. And the Father is Father because He engendered something in us, which is part of the Son. We have the body of the Son, and that body of the Son is our true being. The Son is an organism, cosmic organism, with one head, one cosmic mind, and the collective body. So as members of that collective body, we can work bringing light, lost light, back to the original source. But we have to understand vibration. We have to understand the harmonia of the senses, the harmonia of mind, heart, and body. We have to watch all our thoughts, all our emotions, all the vibrations in the body, and be able to harmonize all that. This requires attention, loving attention, and loving awareness, but also conscience, which is knowing what is aligned with the Holy One. This is the only way of escaping the traps of space-time, which is ruled by several intelligences from the planets, the stars. Call them as you wish, it doesn't matter. We should not fear them. They are just gigantic intelligences which have their own interests, and they are selfish. They are the world. They are the God of this age. But the Holy One is beyond any notion of God. The infinite, as we said, is not energy, is not matter. So we cannot even say it's a God, which is a theological notion. It's beyond anything we can conceive, but it manifests as a divine intelligence. And this divine intelligence is not separate from us, came to dwell in us. This was the incarnation of the Logos, the intelligence, through a man which made known the blueprint, the first original manifestation of life within that space of infinite light. This is why the apostles were amazed with Yeshua, because they said in the letters, the life that was in the origin has been with us. And he gave testimony of the Father. Yeshua was a manifestation of the Father, the personality of the Father. And the Father is the projected Kaf, the will within the space. So now we can understand the relation between the Father will, which manifests as a primordial personality that can dwell in a world which is finite, but also in the absolute, the original home where we are returning, where we must return, saving the human soul. For that, we have the Holy Spirit, the loving energy that leads to the Spirit of Truth, the development of the mind. Anyway, you have more details in the article. There you'll see the 4 pronunciations of the Yud He Vav He, which are related to the senses of Adam Kadmon, the development of the worlds. There is much to say about this. You will understand the relation between the vowels, the sounds, primordial vibration, with the tetragrammaton, which is a code. Anyway, for today is enough. Give thumbs up if this video was inspiring to you. Subscribe and click on the bell if you want to receive weekly notifications. And let's keep opening the mind, the heart, and the body for the manifestation of primordial love and modified life, integral conscience, and deep, blissful serenity.